It's only the first day of Extradimensional Crisis, but I've already taken Guzzlord into a huge 400-person tournament. I paired it with the tried and true Giratina Darkrai so I could fully test the strength of Guzzlord with things like Dawn and Team Rocket Grunt. This allowed me to just lead straight out the gate with a Guzzlord, buffing it with a Dawn to boost it, or using a Lucamina if it's on my bench to bring it out later. But with cards like Buzzwole and a lot of other grass decks, which I faced in this tournament, as well as low energy cost attackers like Silvally, Rampardos, I also faced those. How does Guzzlord actually fare in the current meta? Well, let's jump straight into a couple tournament matches and I'll show you and talk through the strengths and weaknesses of this card. Alright, so like I said, I designed this deck specifically. It's a little bit odd. This is not necessarily a deck I'm going to tell you to go run out and start playing, but I just wanted to showcase the strength of Guzzlord and I wanted to be able to just lead off with it or build it up on the bench. This match is from round 1 of this 400-person tournament. This is the first Frog EX tournament, which just happened today, and we're up against kind of the boogeyman, the classic Dark Tina matchup versus, I don't know what you want to call my deck, Guzzlord, Dark Guztina. And the only thing I'm really missing here is I wanted to put 2 Dawn and the Giratina package in so I could lead off with Guzzlord and just see just how strong is it if I get like a quick energy boost hitting with that 2 energy attack just leading off. We end up drawing the Dawn, so we're actually going to get an exactly perfect showcase here. We've got the perfect exact start. We're able to boost into the fastest possible 2 energy hitting immediately with the Guzzlord. We missed the coin toss. That would have been pretty huge, so our opponents going ahead and doing the classic Dark Tina, building up the Darkrai energies, building up the Giratina on the bench. They're able to start healing up their Pokemon as well. So we're in an interesting position here. We're going to get another attack followed by a 120. We may be able to take this Darkrai out. We've got 2 shots here now, and this is where this strength is going to come from all of this. I've got these Team Rocket Grunts. If you can go back-to-back Team Rocket Grunt followed by these early Grindcore attacks, then, you know, you should be in pretty good shape, and I think we would have probably just absolutely destroyed our opponent, but here we are, we're showcasing pretty much the worst luck possible, missing 3 times in a row with Team Rocket Grunt type effects. Our opponent goes for an interesting play, opting for a Sabrina to try to bring in the Giratina and kill it. I have to say, I think this was a mistake on my opponent's part. I think they needed to go for a win of just trying to terrorize our Guzzlord that we were already building up. I think you have to go for that kill on the thing that's already been built up. But because of the hand we started with, we're totally stopped. And look at how this match went. We let off with the Guzzlord. We actually got really horrible luck. We've missed now 4 times in a row. And once again, I don't know. I think my opponent might just be kind of making some mistakes here. I'm sorry to my opponent here. They opted to bring the Giratina in and then switch out to their own Giratina, allowing their built-up Darkrai to lose 2 energies. And now we're coming in with this Guzzlord, and this actually allows us to just finish off the Giratina. Now, here's obviously going to be one of these strengths of the Guzzlord here, is that if a Giratina comes in, gets a swing off, you're able to just immediately counter swing and get an immediate kill. And now what's my opponent going to do? Coming in, swinging for that 140. With Darkrai's, you know, you can't really do that. It does take a little more setup with the Guzzlord, but you can only hit for, you know, about 100 or so, get that super effective. But with the Guzzlord, as soon as they swing with the Dark Tina, you're coming in and getting that hit. And if you've got the Lucamine, this is looking pretty nice. So if Giratina ends up being all over the place, I would say having that Guzzlord on the bench Lucamine package is probably going to be pretty darn strong. I have a feeling. My opponent is able to start trying to build up that Darkrai on the bench, putting a different one out there in front. But we have the Cyrus in hand, so at this point, this game is pretty much unlosable. Yeah, I don't think there was any way for my opponent to get out of this. And while this match did showcase just the big, juicy, beefy stats of Guzzlord, let me show you a perfect showcase of the Guzzlord being built up on the bench in my round 3 of this tournament. All right, round 3, we're up against Incineroar and Turtonator. We lead off with pretty much our perfect setup, basically. We got 2 Giratina, 1 up front being used as a wall. We've got 1 Guzzlord back on the bench, and we've got a Darkrai back on the bench. So we've got basically all of our tools, and we're basically, I wanted to experiment again with Guzzlord and get the experience with it. So I decided to build that up instead of the Darkrai on the bench, as our opponent has basically a absolutely perfect opener as well. So it's kind of perfect opener versus perfect opener here. They get the early rare candied Incineroar. They've already built it up with 2 energies. We're a little bit behind because our opponent was going second, so they got the energy kind of quick advantage, although we did have the Giratina out on turn 1. Sorry, I missed a little bit of the video clip on this. I forgot to hit record at the very beginning. So in this match, we're basically showcasing how good is Guzzlord just building it up on the bench with a Lusamine in hand. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I think this is going to pretty much be the primary use of Guzzlord going forward. You'll probably pair it with, you probably need to have, you know, something in the deck to deal with Oricorio. I'm sure Oricorios are going to end up being everywhere again. I didn't hit any in this tournament, but I'm sure they're going to be out there, especially Lightning got some nice tools. So probably 1 or even 2 nice early non-EXs, and then when they die, having the Lusamine building up the Guzzlord on the bench, which is exactly what we had here. And since I knew I was building into this, I actually decided to build up the Giratina that was up front instead of the one on the bench, so that I would get the guaranteed 1 energy killed off my Guzzlord. Then I can Lusamine it this turn, which I did, and finish building it for the full 4 energies, hitting for the 120. And putting us in the situation where basically no matter what my opponent did, that Incineroar is going down. So Guzzlord really does have amazing, excellent stats. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and call it right now. I think this is going to be kind of the #1 use and setup for Guzzlord, keeping it back there on the bench. You saw it in the match I just showed previously. When you lead it off up front early, the huge retreat cost, 4 cost for the retreat, it's so much. There's just no way to get it out of the up front. You could pair it up with a Celesteela, but that match just shows you when you bring it in there, I mean, what was the Incineroar going to do? It had no options, and since they weren't able to get the Kiawe off fast enough in that match, or they missed it, that huge body, huge stats, huge attacks are just going to take games down, I think. And so while I paired up the Guzzlord with cards like Dawn and Giratina to try it out in those early first couple turns leading out with it, as well as pairing it with Team Rocket Grunt, I did have a lot of really crazy, cool, interesting matches, which I'm going to show you. So subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this high-level tournament type content, because I'm going to show you more matches from this tournament later. I'm not going to be able to fit every match in this video, but I'm going to come back. Ultimately, it's going to be really meta-dependent on how good that Team Rocket Grunt type effect is, and right now, I'm not super stoked about it, to be honest. So I'm thinking probably leaning more in a direction of things like Silvally seems really fun. I'd like to try it, so that's going to start out early, and then when it dies, you're going to use the Lusamine on the Guzzlord, bringing it out from the bench, and then just having this huge body to close out the match. Similarly, Nihilego, however you pronounce it, seems like a great pairing as well. Actually went against an opponent in this tournament. We both had winning records, and he was playing actually a Guzzlord deck also with the Nihilego and also with Celesteela, and he told me I should really try the deck out. He was cool. Shout out if you're here watching this. So those are going to be the directions I'm going to be thinking about taking this deck in the future. Although if you did want to try this type of building up and bringing it out up front, it is interesting. I did have really cool, interesting wins with it. And you can also still get wins just going the traditional Dark Tina type route. Let me show you what that looks like. Here's from round 2 of this tournament. So round 2, we are going first. I'm leading off with the Giratina. Don't really have a lot of choices or options here. I ended up also running this Komala because I was just worried, okay, if I do end up fighting an Oricorio deck, which I was sure I was going to go up against at least one, but there just really weren't that many probably. I think when it's early on in a set, when you enter these tournaments, people want to just have a little bit of fun, try the new cards. I think they just don't want to mess with Oricorio because maybe it's too boring. I don't know. So I was running the 1 copy of the Komala just in case. I ended up leaving it in my hand because my opponent didn't really have any stuff that I needed to worry about leaving things in my hand, no hand disruption. And if you ran a package like this, you know, even if you kind of don't hit what you're looking for, even if you can't hit that Guzzlord, which we can't hit it here, we basically just end up with a kind of a standard Giratina Darkrai setup and play that we ended up going for. Our opponent was playing this pretty interesting type null Silvally Rampardos deck. Now, I will tell you, this deck is a deck that pretty much shows you that Guzzlord is going to have some really tough times, especially, like I said, if you're leading off with it up front. Talking about the weaknesses, you saw in the first match I showed you in this video, we led with the Guzzlord and we just missed like 3 or 4 times in a row. So you're going to have that weakness of just getting unlucky with these coin flips if you're running the Rocket Grunts and the Guzzlords. But I think the biggest problem, to be honest, with Guzzlord is against a deck like this one right here that we're going against, because the Silvally and the Rampardos, it's a tough match to win. We actually run round 1 of this tournament and round 3, which I just showed you a match from. Did I get the perfect 3-0 for the first 3 rounds of the tournament? I didn't. I actually ended up losing the overall match against this because it's just so hard to combat this really quick, aggressive, low energy consumption deck with these Ramparduses. Like, Guzzlord does not like facing Rampardos if you want to lead with it up front. Anyway, let's get back to this match with that rant out of the way. So we led off with the Giratina. We were able to retreat it right before they got the kill. We were setting up, like I said, that traditional ramping up our Giratina on the bench, ramping up our Darkrai on the bench. We were able to get that Darkrai out, finish off that Silvally. They're coming out with the Rampardos up front, but it's basically too late for our opponent. Because we were able to get that kill, they come in with the Rampardos, but we already got that kind of essentially just perfect standard Darktina setup that everybody knows and probably does not love at this point. We're able to just end up take this down, actually, because now they've lost the 50 HP on the Rampardos. We're able to get that counter, that classical Giratina counter swing, taking out the Rampardos, forcing our opponent. They've already gone through 1 Silvally, and a Rampardos. They would have to have a basically godlike draw to be able to come back from this, somehow drawing into a perfect rare candy Rampardos, which, spoiler alert here, they don't. So that's going to wrap up this video, everybody. If you are interested in Guzzlord, I hope you got something out of this, and please do consider subscribing, because I'm going to do at least one follow-up of a couple more of these tournament matches. I don't want the individual videos to be too crazy long, so we're just going to leave it here for this one. We'll come back, and we're going to probably do a lot of Guzzlord this season, I have a feeling, because I do think it seems like one of the strongest cards in the set, but I'm still kind of not sure about it, so I think we'll probably try some different variants of it. I hope you'll consider sticking around with me. It's still a very new channel, so subscribing really helps me a lot, and I'm going to cover more details in the future. Hopefully you'll stick around, and I'll see you then.